Welcome to PillowTalk, the illusion that started it all. Imagine standing at a quiet fork in the road. Two paths lie ahead. You pause, consider your options, and confidently step to the left. It feels like your choice, deliberate, free, conscious. But what if that choice was never yours to begin with? What if the moment you stopped to think, the decision had already been made somewhere deeper in your brain before you even showed up to take credit? This is where our journey begins, with a question that shakes the very foundation of what it means to be human. We've been raised to believe we're captains of our fate, authors of our actions. But mounting evidence suggests something more unnerving. Neuroscience experiments, like those by Benjamin Libet and later refinements, show that our brains often begin preparing for decisions before we become consciously aware of them. In some cases, machines can predict which button you'll press seconds before you know. It's as if your mind makes the choice, and your awareness arrives just in time to say, "Yep, I did that." So what is the conscious self then? A driver at the wheel, or just a passenger reading the map out loud after the car's already moving? This raises uncomfortable questions. If free will is an illusion, if we're simply narrating a story that's already being written, then what becomes of responsibility? Can we really take credit for our successes? Blame others for their failures? What does it mean to choose anything if choosing is just a performance stitched together by neurons behind the curtain? Take a breath. Let that thought settle. We're only just beginning. Because if you think this illusion is unsettling, just wait until we explore what keeps it alive. Let's step deeper into the labyrinth. Libet's clock. In the 1980s, a quiet revolution began inside a laboratory. No protests, no speeches, just a wrist twitch and a clock. Neuroscientist Benjamin Libet wasn't trying to overthrow centuries of philosophy, but with one simple experiment, he may have cracked the illusion of conscious will. Imagine being asked to move your wrist whenever you felt like it. No commands, no countdown. Just watch a dot circling a clock and note the precise moment you felt the urge to move. Sounds harmless until you realize what Libet found. Libet attached electrodes to participants' scalps and wrists to measure brain activity. As they casually flicked their wrists, he recorded two key timestamps: when brain activity signaled the preparation for movement, and when participants reported becoming aware of their intention to move. The results? The brain's motor cortex showed activity, a readiness potential, up to 350 milliseconds before the person said they had decided to move. In other words, the brain had already initiated the action before the conscious mind chose to. It was as if the body had decided, and then told the mind, "You meant to do this." This tiny time gap, less than half a second, casts a long shadow. If our decisions are made unconsciously before we're aware of making them, then is free will just a story we tell ourselves? A retrospective illusion? The conscious mind, watching from the balcony, believes it's writing the play, but the script is already in motion. Are we authors of our actions, or narrators trying to keep up? Some argue that consciousness still has a veto power. We can override what the brain prepares. But even that raises questions. Who is vetoing? And when did that urge arise? If our bodies begin to act before our minds decide, then what exactly is the self that chooses? We've seen the cracks. Now we'll peer into them. The next stop? A disturbing paradox where free will and determinism collide and cancel each other out. The domino universe. Picture a line of dominoes, neatly arranged, stretching far beyond what your eyes can see. One tips, and the next follows. The motion is elegant, precise, and inevitable. Now, imagine that you're not just watching this cascade, you are one of the dominoes. Not the hand that pushed the first, not the architect who set the course. Just one tile in a grand sequence. This is the unsettling essence of determinism. The philosophical and scientific idea that every event, every decision, every movement is the direct result of what came before. From the swirl of atoms after the Big Bang to the firing of neurons in your brain as you decide what to eat for dinner, it's all a chain. Physics doesn't pause for personality. Your favorite song, your heartbreaks, your proudest moments, they all arise from prior causes stretching back long before your existence. The molecules in your body, the culture that shaped you, even the exact second you're hearing this, all products of an unbroken, mechanistic past. In this view, choice becomes illusion. You didn't choose your genetics. You didn't choose the environment that shaped your brain. And so, perhaps, you never really chose at all. You were caused. This isn't meant to strip life of meaning, but to force us to confront a truth hidden in plain sight. That your mind may not be a captain steering a ship, but a passenger watching the tide roll in. The domino doesn't question why it falls, it just falls, beautifully, precisely, endlessly. Even rebellion, in this view, is pre-written. It feels like freedom because we can't see the full row behind us. But every reaction, every belief is another tile falling exactly where it had to. Take a breath. As we drift deeper into this chain of thought, let's meet the force that tells us we can't even know if we're truly free. And why uncertainty might be the only certainty we have. The uncertainty of being, where quantum chaos meets the illusion of choice. Is the universe a machine, grinding forward with every gear fixed in place? Or is it a cloud of uncertainty, shifting like smoke every time we try to grasp it? Quantum physics, our deepest dive into the building blocks of reality, doesn't give us the comfort of a clear answer. It whispers a stranger truth. The universe might be both solid and uncertain at the same time. Classical physics painted a reassuring picture. Cause leads to effect, every action has a reaction, and the universe runs like clockwork. If you knew all the starting positions and forces, you could, in theory, predict the future perfectly. This is the heart of determinism. But quantum mechanics shattered that vision. Subatomic particles, the true foundations of reality, don't behave like predictable billiard balls. Instead, they exist in a haze of probabilities. A particle might be here, or there, or nowhere specific at all. Until you observe it. Only then does it choose a state. This principle, superposition, means that the universe, at its core, is probabilistic. The famous double-slit experiment revealed that particles act like waves of possibility, collapsing into definite states only when measured. This randomness, this inherent uncertainty, seems to open a door. If the future isn't predetermined, if outcomes aren't locked in, does that leave room for free will? But here's the twist. Randomness isn't the same as freedom. If your brain's decisions are influenced by quantum chance, are you actually making a choice? Or are you just the product of a coin flip you didn't know was happening? Think about it. If your thoughts, intentions, and actions are triggered by probabilistic events in your neurons, that might free you from determinism, but not from causeless chaos. And chaos doesn't feel any more empowering than fate. So we stand between two uncomfortable truths. On one side, determinism says you're just following a script. On the other, quantum randomness says you're being tossed around by chance. Neither offers a clear sanctuary for free will. Free will isn't safe in a mechanical universe, or a chaotic one. But maybe we're asking the wrong question. What if the problem isn't just how choices happen, but who is doing the choosing in the first place? The ghost in the shell. Close your eyes for a moment. Inside, do you sense a watcher? A voice? A presence behind your thoughts, steering the wheel of your life? That's the self you've always assumed was you. But what if that feeling, your most intimate companion, is just a convincing hallucination? Modern neuroscience has searched the brain for a central control room, a place where the self lives. But it finds no pilot, no throne, no soul in the machinery. Instead, the brain is a decentralized web of activity. Decisions are made in one place, emotions processed in another, memories stored elsewhere. And the feeling of I is more like a narration layered over that activity, a mental voice that creates the illusion of unity. Like a hologram made from overlapping beams, the self seems solid until you try to touch it. Cognitive scientist Thomas Metzinger famously argued, "Nobody ever was or had a self. The I that feels in charge is just a model the brain uses to keep track of itself, a useful fiction. You're not the ghost in the machine. You're the machine dreaming of a ghost." If there's no central you calling the shots, then who or what is making choices? Are you really deciding, or simply observing the decisions being made? This shakes the foundations of moral responsibility. If the self is a story told after the fact, can it be blamed or praised? Maybe we're like characters in a novel, flipping pages we never wrote, convinced we're the authors. Let that sit. Breathe. Let the edges of the self blur for a moment, like fog fading from a mirror. And ask yourself, if I never truly chose, can I be held responsible for anything at all? Close your eyes if you'd like. Let these questions float away and drift into a space where no answer is needed. Good night.